Welcome back to the Senior Year Game Plan. I'm your host, Michele Ehrlich. I'm an Army veteran, an educator, a career advisor, and I'm here to help high school seniors and their parents navigate the exciting but often overwhelming journey towards life after graduation from high school. I'm thrilled to have Amarie Biroo here. She's a high school senior at Forest Hills High School in Queens. She joins me today as she does most weeks. She is going to give us the inside scoop of how it's like to go through applications to college, what's going through her mind. Right now, we're in the beginning of December, so we're pretty much towards the completion of her college applications. And so we want to kind of dive into what this looks like for her from her perspective right now. And then also we want to ask her some questions about her second half of senior year, what it might look like. So Amarie, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. So senior year can feel like a whirlwind, can't it? The college application, the
Yeah.
extracurricular. I know you have a part-time job and you're taking a college class, and then you're thinking about what comes next. So before we dive into planning for the second half of your senior year, I want to start with something that we touched upon it at the beginning of our episode 1. It's still important. That is self-care. So it's a stressful time. Amarie, could you tell me what you might be doing to manage the stress in your life so far? Like we said, between your school and your activities and your part-time job and your college classes and your applications, I'm sure there always feels like there's something to do. Maybe you listen to music or you get together with friends. So what are you kind of looking at when you want to get away from, mentally take a break from all of this stuff that's going on right now?
So been hard so far. I haven't been with my friends, hanged out with them for a while, and they've always been like, "Where are you? When are you gonna hang out with us?" And every other day, every day, not every other day, it's always something to do, like you said. So what I've been doing, so I'm a Christian, and then on Friday nights, it's our Sabbath, and we don't do anything. So during that time until Saturday night, that's a good time to just relax and not think about anything else. And then I'm just so thankful that I have that, because my mind gets so full, and I get a headache. And I'm like, what's going on? So during that time, I just relax, maybe do some facial care or something, do my hair and just relax. Like you said, listen to music, spend time with my family, actually maybe go out to eat, something like that. And
So
then,
you set aside a particular day or a particular evening where you say, at this time, at this place, I'm not gonna pay attention. So do you do that every day? I think you should. A half
well, there's not
15 minutes.
really time every day. So
Yeah,
it's only
again, it's
Fridays.
such a common feeling right now that you're juggling so much and it's easy to put yourself last. But
Yeah.
like Amarie was saying, it's important. Self-care, it's critical. So it's not just about your senior year, but to manage stress beyond senior year, everything that you're going to face, it's so important to manage the stress, because there's a few different reasons why. So you want to avoid burnout, because there's always going to be something more to do and there's always going to be a deadline. But if you keep track of things, you need to be able to reflect. And if you have to take the time to celebrate your accomplishments too. So in order to avoid burnout, try to look for those little milestones that you can say, you know what, I did this, I did this, I did this today. Now I get 15 minutes or I get half an hour or I get an hour where I can celebrate. And if that means watching TikTok videos or whatever you do to celebrate, you're taking time and you're saying, I deserve it because I did this to lean up to lead up to it. So you want to avoid the burnout like that. Also, it builds resilience because you're learning how to manage your stress, because you know that you have a period of time every single day that you're going to take for yourself. And like we had talked about it before, really it should be every hour that you take, just like when you have a period of in school, it's not the whole hour, it's like 40 something minutes. And then you have the last 15 minutes to get to your next class and maybe go to the bathroom, whatever. So this kind of attitude towards a life, it builds resilience that you're able to do what you need to do, knowing that you've got some kind of an end in sight, like the last 10 minutes of an hour. And then you'll be able to take that time out for self-care later on when you're in college too. And then of course we want to setting a healthy habit. So if you do it as a routine, if you remind yourself to put in time into each hour, into each day, even if it's just a few minutes an hour, even if it's just an hour per day or for half an hour, to take care of yourself, that you need to have enough sleep. You need to be active. You need to have boundaries and say no to some things. And then that will carry on as a routine for your upcoming year. So, Amarie, do you, like we were saying, you get together with a group, maybe you listen to music, any kind of go-to activity or habits that help you recharge, doing your nails, or I don't know, something, watching a video, something that makes you feel happy?
The first thing that came to mind was praying. That really helps me. Spending time with my mom, that helps me as well. Um,
So
Listening
you
to
feel
music,
guilty?
I only,
Feel guilty if you take a break.
it's
Maybe
like,
you have so
I
much
don't
to
want to
do.
waste time and then, yeah, I don't like wasting time. That's why.
So that is relatable that when one takes a break, it can feel like you're time wasting, but actually
Yeah,
taking a break is necessary to stay productive. So it should be like part of you is doing and then part of you is thinking about doing. So if you don't have the time to think, if you don't step back and think about what you need to do, then whatever you're doing is going to be futile. If you keep doing and not thinking, it might be that you're doing something like wasting your time. So you stay productive with a little break. So here's a few ways, I'll say 3 ways that you can prioritize self-care without feeling like you're wasting time. So taking a micro break, like we were saying, only 5 or 10 minutes, but you stretch or you breathe or you clear your mind and just think about what do you smell, touch, whatever, right this second, like being present. Limit social media. So as long as you set some kind of a screen time for yourself in your mind, if you set a limit, like, okay, I'm only going to watch for 15 minutes or a half an hour, then you can that you have a limit, and then whatever extra time that you have, you can do something more energizing, like maybe writing something in a journal, doodling something, or even walking outside to get more energy than just being on social media. And then number 3, we said celebrate the small wins, because even if you're just completing an assignment or finishing a college application or a personal statement, acknowledging that you are achieving something, that you finished something, however small it is, it will help you stay motivated, that it's a big world out there of scholarships and applications. It can seem daunting, but every little step is pointing in the correct direction. It's doing something. So, Amri, do you celebrate small wins, or are you just always rushing to the next thing? Maybe you should start to reflect more. What do you think about that?
small wins. How small?
Like we said, completing an application, going back and editing your personal statement, like something that you did
Like
it. Not that
completing.
you're not celebrating if you got accepted or not. You're
Yeah.
actually just finished the darn application.
Um,
Because those are big deals that you actually got to completion on something. It is something to
you're right. You're
so,
right. I didn't never celebrate it. I think I should. I'll get myself some maybe cheesecake or something.
yeah, even just an acknowledgement to yourself saying, you know what, you did that. You didn't have to do it.
Mhm.
Nobody's looking over your back and making you do it, especially with college. It's not high
Yeah.
school. You're not going to fail. You just won't go to college if you don't apply. So nobody is really behind you saying that you must do it. So everything that you're doing at this point is for yourself. And that's a win right there, to say, hey, I'm going to invest in myself. And that means taking time to apply to, or taking time to research, or even once I did apply, taking the time to pat myself on the back and say, you know what, I did it. Or, you know what, I researched that. I said I was going to research it and I did. I spent 5 minutes researching it. And so I completed something, and that's a little win. So it's not really about doing less. It's about just doing things more intentionally. So when we're talking about this more, we're thinking about how we can be intentional to the rest of senior year, because now that you almost have your applications done, probably you have, tell me, Amarie, do you still have some applications or are you finished?
So I'm done with most of them. I have 2 more I have to send in, but I took time to not send it in because they didn't have the choice of early action. So I'm gonna send it in like regular decision in January. So by maybe Christmas break, I'm gonna send them in.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
bought yourself a couple of weeks, but you know that in the back of your mind, it's still there.
Yeah.
You still have some steps to do for those last applications. Maybe you'll give your personal statement to a teacher or a friend or somebody, an advisor that you trust. Maybe you'll just, you'll do whatever it is, those last steps to push you through the finish line. And then you can say at the end of the day, if you get in or you don't get in, you at least attempted and you did your best that you could. So now that your applications are mostly done, Amarie, have you thought about the rest of senior year? Because we're going to be talking about that too. The senior year is not done quite yet. But what about you? What have you thought about even getting past the application stage, or are you just kind of in the thick of the woods right?
Thought about it, just not as much as I am in the moment because I just want to get everything over with. I'm looking forward to next semester because I know it's not going to be as stressful, maybe for a few AP classes. But apart from that, I'm excited because everyone is talking about the senior trip, and then we're going to have a break in February, and then it's prom and all of those activities. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to, just getting it over with, passing my classes, and just completing it.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of like fun that you can now take a breather once it's all.
Yeah.
But it's also this like gap between now and graduation that some people might be looking to fill with things other than just sitting back and relaxing, because this is actually quite a unique opportunity that you guys are not compelled to something so deeply like junior year of high school where you're just in your studies, and senior year of first half, you're just in your applications. Now you kind of have an opportunity to sit back and do something that could be potentially unique for your career or for networking. So we're going to be talking about that in the months ahead, that it's important to create a plan for also the second half of the year so that the time doesn't just slip away, that you do have those moments of the prom and everything else that you have earned up until this point. But let me ask you this, Amarie, if you could learn a new skill or gain work experience or try something completely new, what would you want to do if you could come up with a new skill now? Maybe something that could help you get a job in the summer, or working with computers, or something like learning more about graphic design.
I never thought about that. All of what you said sounds interesting, and I would love to do those things. But maybe graphic design, because I want to minor in advertising, and that would be fun. It would also be beneficial to me in that area, and it's just something I would like to learn too.
Exactly. So the second half of senior year could be a good time to explore this kind of thing. Also, it's a way to get a trade in your back pocket where you don't have that you don't, like we are saying, you're not compelled to something else. You're not focusing necessarily on anything else. That you could like get a certificate in something and then come to the table of the work world with a skill already. Like you could be working, instead of a part-time job at McDonald's, you could potentially have something much higher paid with a skill that you acquired in the last couple months of senior year. So we're going to talk about that some more. I'm not saying everybody has to, but we do want to explore the possibilities, because we had mentioned a few episodes ago, we talked to Stacks and Jules about a training program in facilities management. I have some other people coming on the program talking about vocational opportunities, but these kind of internships or certificate programs, some of them are cheap, some of them are free, and they could be potentially workarounds for the last half of senior year. So we're going to talk in the next few episodes about finding maybe internships, even if there's something that is not advertised. I love to, I don't need an advertisement in order to get a job. I never have. So some of these things we can find on our own. We're going to look into that. And internships can provide valuable experiences and connections. Then there's also volunteer opportunities. I know that seniors have to volunteer a certain amount of hours, not a ton, but when you do volunteer, you could do it in a way that is savvy towards whatever strengths you have or whatever it is career you might want to explore. So, Amarie, I'm going to ask you about volunteering. I know you have a part-time job in actually it's Common Point, Queens, right? Where you are working at a community center. So what about your volunteering hours that you need for school? Do you still need to complete them? And if so, are you looking at a nonprofit in town? Or can you do it at work? Or is it through a hospital would you want to go through?
So I completed my volunteer hours last year, so junior year, at the Queens Community House. So over there, it was like mainly girls, so it's called Access for Young Women. It's a whole bunch of juniors and seniors, and we meet every Monday for 2 hours, and I got like way more than I needed because I stayed for the whole year. And we went to different jobs, different businesses. We helped them out, and then they taught us about their trade. So it was finance, it was a restaurant sometimes, and from that we took different information. And then at the end of the year, we hosted like a presentation, like a gathering, and then people from the community, they came over to the community house, and each group of girls, there was like maybe a maximum of 4 people in each group, and we chose a topic to talk about the community. So my group, we did climate change, and I talked about my experience with climate change. So mine was a tornado back in Oklahoma and how it went off a different track, and it went to a different environment and a different path than it didn't take in like for like the years and the history that it had. So they thought it was climate change. And then with the fires in Texas, just below Oklahoma, and all those things that happened. So that really we were able to talk to the community about those things. And at the end, we gave free things. So it was maybe menstruation packets, hoodies, 'cause it was cold, hoodies, gloves, just little things they could go on with. Different groups did, what's it called? I think it was architecture in New York City. So how they're trying to get rid of people sleeping on the street. Yeah, that's a few of what we talked about.
Wow. Okay. So how did you find this program? How did you get involved in that?
So my counselor, she didn't send it to me. She sent it to the Google Classroom that we were in. And since I just moved to New York, I was trying to get involved, and I saw it. I thought it was a good idea. I read the description and everything, the requirements, and then I thought it was good. So I applied, and then I got in.
Wow. Okay. So this kind of opportunity, you're saying guidance counselors will give you here in New York City and here in your school. So that's an amazing opportunity. So what about and Common Point Queens is like you guys are so lucky to have this kind of community organization. So for people who might be listening that don't have those kind of community organizations, let's just brainstorm other types of nonprofits. So there's food banks, animal shelters, the
I was
community prevention. Yeah, go ahead.
trying to get into the animal shelter, but they never go back to me. Maybe it's the one I chose. I'm sure there's others because I know a few people who do get their hours from there. Maybe they work there. I do know a few people. I really wanted to get in, but I didn't, so it's okay.
I think you have to be like at least 16 to do those things. But since you're a senior, so you qualify.
Yeah,
And then also hospitals often have
right.
volunteer programs where students can help with patient care or administrative work. So, like you mentioned, guidance counselors often know about local opportunities and like even some mentoring programs. And so they can, or even ways that you can tutor younger students. That could be an opportunity to work through the schools to mentor or tutor younger students. So these we'll go into more detail about how to approach these organizations for others that might be interested to make the most of that kind of an opportunity. We'll talk about that in future episodes. So now I want to just focus on for if you have not applied to college, or even if you have, but you want to get additional skills, I want to go back to vocational and certificate programs because they are an excellent way to make the most of this time that you have where you're not in college yet, but you are not being completely burdened by assignments for your senior year. So, Amari, have you heard of Coursera or Google Career Certificates?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So I think we definitely talked about Coursera and some certificates.
Yeah.
That I'm just gonna give you like a little bit of what we're gonna be talking about in the coming months. So the certificate program in tech and sales, Coursera is a program that offers these short courses in fields like data analytics and IT support, and then even sales. We'll go back to sales because I think that that's a really overlooked high value career or even certificate. Not quite yet, but these are skills that can lead to high paying, high demand jobs. And then if you're interested in creative careers, if you are into the arts or programs in graphic design, there's user experience or UX design. And then there's also digital marketing, which you can combine it creatively to have a really good earning potential. Then there's vocational opportunities. When I say vocation, I mean like hands-on stuff, like a plumber or electrician. So we're going to go in the coming months into these as well, how to get an electrician or a plumber, for example, apprenticeship, and then culinary arts, there's that, and healthcare certifications as well. But then I want to briefly talk about the military careers because if people are considering going into the military after high school, it's really a structured training program that a high school student can get into that can lead into stable and fulfilling careers. So I do want to touch upon the best military careers if that's something that people are interested in exploring because it does require an extensive test to take. So it's not something you can just whisk yourself into the recruiting office and then go into the military. So we're going to talk about, and you definitely don't want to do that because the recruiters can really take you for a ride. So you want to look into the best careers if you're going to go into military. But whatever that's interesting to you, there's something for everyone. We're going to break it down into the upcoming episodes. But before we do that, I want to go back to Amarie. So you went through your applications and now you're almost wrapping up your applications. So what if you could focus on the rest of your senior year? If I asked you if there's one thing you would like to focus on, do you have something? It could be maybe volunteering or to get a part-time job and start earning some money or to keep on exploring what you want to do. So what do you think? Do you have any goal?
Maybe getting hands-on experience in what I want to do. So like maybe internship or a job shadowing that's pertaining to what I want to do. Maybe that would be the next step for me because then I would really know what I would be doing as a career if I continue that track.
Right, exactly. So it is a perfect opportunity the next few months to dip your finger or toe or slowly get into a lot of different career options because now is the time that you have to explore what you might like the most. And like we were mentioning, we're going to be going into the different vocational opportunities and training opportunities that are out there for free. Like we mentioned, guidance counselors know about some. Amarie, did you know about the STEM in the South? For it's different. My daughter is going through a mechanics class right now. She's getting college credit, It's after school, 2 days a week, and yeah, mechanics. And so those kind of vocational opportunities. Did you know about that? That was through this school. So, and she's at your school. So because I'm just trying to gauge how much information do you guys all know the same information, or is there so much out there that some of it it gets lost?
So I did know about it, but I'm not really interested in STEM, so I didn't really take it on.
Got it. Okay, so there were some digital, like data analytics certificates that were happening. I don't know if it's still being offered or if everything is all already closed out. Another way to get hands-on experience is we're talking about having a networking event similar to what you mentioned you had through Common Points, the community center, to try to establish this with parents as networks in Forest Hills High School, that we can learn about the more careers as possible. So far now we're on episode 9 here of Senior Year Game Plan. We talked about different careers. We talked about finance and cybersecurity. We're touching upon some other careers, but ultimately we're trying to find out which would be the best match for each person based on your interest. And so I know, Amarie, you've expressed interest in different things. And so as an option, if you had a free training program for graphic design to get some kind of certificate in it, is that something that you would take the time to do? Or like for the next part of your senior year, in order to get yourself maybe potentially some knowledge in graphic design, see if you like it. And yeah, it might be a kind of low-hanging fruit. It's free training. It's a certificate, so it's finite. You're not spending 4 years, 6 years, and then deciding you don't like it. And if it's free, which a lot of programs are, then it could be setting you in a direction to do something valuable with your time and also learn a skill that could be then translate to in the future you making money. Or you could create networking events like we were talking about, the student ambassador program, where you're working with people and you're talking to people, if that is what energizes you. There's a lot of like free information out there. And so now is the time during senior year for everybody to wrap up the applications as best you can, celebrate in a small way, because unless you're very wealthy, maybe celebrate in a big way. But when I say celebrate, really all I mean is just acknowledge that you accomplished a goal. And even if it's a small goal, like finishing an application, it is worth celebrating. You'll have to take time to feed yourself in order to be able to not burn out. So we're going to be talking some more about the transition of your senior year. It's a great opportunity. And so in the coming episodes, we're going to talk about internships and volunteering, vocational programs, and then also non-college career paths. So whether you apply to college, you want to explore alternatives, or if you're still figuring it out, there is something here for you. So, Amarie, I want to say thank you so much for joining today. And we're going to dive deeper in the coming months. We're not letting you off the hook about what you are accomplishing in the coming months. And I really want to, again, thank you so much for being here. And then to all of our listeners, join us next time when we continue to build the senior year game plan. Until then, take care of yourselves and stay curious. Make the most out of this exciting time in your life.
Thank you.
Thank you.